Right, hello. Just before I have my lunch, I just thought I'll give you a little bit of a preview of Portugal, Spain. I've got all the notes ready. Look, all the notes are ready, and the menu is ready as well. I haven't been asked yet what I want, but I'm not sure what most of this stuff is. Can you see it? Northern fish uka I may order because that's a soup. But there's something called Caspian anadromous shad, and it's as a cold appetizer. I don't understand. Caspian, I know what it is. It's the location, of course. The rest I don't know, so that's exciting. It is exciting. You don't know what you're gonna eat. Why not? As part of being in a World Cup, you explore. Where I am is next to Red Square. Red Square is just behind this building. Next to Red Square, there is this artificial roundish kind of hill in which they put a lot of green and roads that take you to bridges that cross the river, but also there are a couple of restaurants. This is one of them, the one which is a little bit less quiet, more quieter, because the other one was really, really noisy. There's a lot of music everywhere. There's a lot of people gather around Red Square mostly, but there is a family atmosphere. Not so much. There's football, of course, and everybody wearing, or not everybody, but a lot of people wearing different shirts, and there's a lot of photos, videos being taken, of course. But there's a family atmosphere. It all sounds not so much like a mad World Cup taking place right now. Perhaps because fans will arrive later. I don't know. This is also the quieter part of Red Square. At the other side of Red Square is where all the fans gather. It's like in an avenue where everybody's there, and that is a little bit. There's more crowd there, and there's more of that kind of football atmosphere you relate to a World Cup. Then you go out of here, you cross the river. There's no World Cup. I just don't see much of a World Cup atmosphere. It's interesting. And for those of you that have been watching Uruguay, Egypt, a lot of empty seats as well. More on that later. But let me tell you before we go into the World Cup that, of course, Spain-Portugal is the big game today, in my eyes, being Spanish and all that. But Cristiano Ronaldo has just agreed with the taxman 2 years in prison and a payment of 18.8 million euros, something like that, which stops him going to prison, and because you have to have a sentence of more than 2 years to be put into prison, and even though he thinks he hasn't done anything wrong, and his advisors have told him that he's done nothing wrong, it's a better dissolution than going to a court case that could have been bad news for him, as the taxman in Spain were determined to make sure that this got penalized, this got fined, because they think that they're taking advantage of the law in Spain. So this means that, or explains a little bit why the insistence of Cristiano Ronaldo to leave Real Madrid, which really what it means is he will get another contract with perhaps a sign-on fee of 18.8 million euros or similar. You see the connection? And his wages will be increased, because right now he's earning 23 million euros, which is the same as Griezmann is going to earn, 23 million euros by staying at Atletico Madrid. So, with that in mind, he will get a better contract, 30 million euros around that net, and with some, as well as the sign-on fee, some bonuses as well, depending on titles and so on. That's what Real Madrid are offering. They don't want to go much further than that. He's of course asking for like 40, 50 million euros net, which is of course not going to get, and there is no offers for him right now. But the game, the duel of Cristiano Ronaldo and Sergio Ramos is one of the fascinating parts of this game. We'll go into Lopetegui and the national side and Hierro in a minute, but as we are with Cristiano, let's stay with him, because with Portugal he plays differently. Cristiano is more of, he gets involved more than at Real Madrid. At Real Madrid is one-touch goal machine. He just gives the ball and it gets into the box and the ball goes in, and then he finishes it or shoots from when he's got the opportunity. But with Portugal, because they always have players in wide positions, he sometimes uses that space. He drops deep, he assists sometimes. He gets another striker with him normally, Silva generally, and just Silva of AC Milan, and of course Guedes could be the one, if he is Guedes, and I think it makes sense, in a way because of the space that Spain will leave behind. It could be trouble to Piqué and Sergio Ramos, as well as having to deal, of course, with Cristiano Ronaldo. So Cristiano, Sergio Ramos, two very competitive players who won't be friends today, of course. Sergio Ramos, I know a lot of you don't like, but he's a leader for Spain. He adds aggression to the side that without him we wouldn't really have, and it's necessary sometimes. He goes over the top, as we know. Just have a look at his red cards and yellow cards, but we need him. We need that kind of player. So he has been a leader for other reasons as well. At a time of crisis, you need the ones who everybody respects to speak up, and he did that. So when Lopetegui decides to join Real Madrid, and Sergio Ramos knew about it because Florentino Perez, the chairman of Real Madrid, had consulted Sergio Ramos, had been warned that that was going to happen. In the moment that it got announced, what it did happen was, of course, that Sergio Ramos backed Lopetegui to stay against the wishes of Rubiales, the head of the federation. From minute one, when he heard about it, because it was only 5 minutes before it got announced, he thought this is not the way to do things, and it became very black and white for him, and his decision was final almost from the beginning. He listened to everybody, but it was about getting rid of Lopetegui. Sergio Ramos defended something else, and he thought he was speaking for most of the players. I could tell you most of the players, they were like, whatever happens, happens. But Sergio Ramos was determined to convince Rubiales that Lopetegui had to stay. Eventually he didn't succeed, and what happens, of course, is that everybody, players included, suggested Hierro as the one to replace him. Hierro was part of the meetings that were taking place on Wednesday morning, and he accepted it from minute one, another type of leadership that is needed. Hierro, who has been in 8 World Cups as a player, as a FIFA representative, and of course director of football in 1 European Championships and 1 World Cup. He has been, was in 2010, and absolutely crucial when Spain lost against Switzerland to tell everybody, keep calm, we're doing the right things, let's keep doing them. A lot of things that held the side at that point. Well, crisis here, he's stepped up and said, yeah, I'll take that role. And what he's going to do today, I think, is pretty similar to what Lopetegui would have done. 3 doubts in the side, and I'll tell you about it in a minute because I want to order something, but I've been ignored right now. So if I interrupt this, it will be because I'm going to order my food. The mysterious second dish and the delicious soup. Always delicious, I'm sure it is. Anyway, the lineup had 3 doubts up front. Diego Costa, or do we go with Aspas? Hold on. Can I order food? Order food? Yeah? Okay. I say yes in a minute. So, Costa or Diego Aspas, who scored 5 goals in 10 games, but coming from the bench. This is important. And the doubt is because Costa doesn't add fluidity to the game, interrupts the fluidity of the game with Spain. It's very difficult to be a striker with Spain, but Iago Aspas is more of that. I would put Asensio and Aspas in the team. I would put him, I'm not going to be asked about it, and it will be Costa who will start for Spain. I'm pretty sure of that. Next to it, it'll be Silva and Isco, and of course Iniesta. And then the other doubt in the midfield next to Busquets was Thiago or Koke, and I think it's going to be Koke. Again, Thiago is more of what Spain does. Koke is good in the pressure high, but perhaps haven't got that thing that the Barcelona players or Barcelona developed players like Thiago have of being calm in possession. Koke likes more a direct football and links well with Costa. Bad when there is space, especially at Atletico Madrid. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be Koke. And at the back, with Carvajal not being fully recovered, it's going to be Odriozola, who I think didn't impress much in the friendlies, especially against Tunisia. So it probably will be Nacho, who's more of a defender. Odriozola was replaced after 45 minutes in the 1-0 victory against Tunisia. A game with the draw against Switzerland, the last 2 friendlies, that left a little bit of a question mark about Spain. It didn't break. So question marks because it seems like the team was slow, not much movement of the ball, a lot of things that hopefully we're going to correct here. And I think that's one of the things that the Lopetegui affair is going to help with. It's going to sharp everybody's instinct. It's going to put the focus on the players. They want to impress. It's a World Cup. As Sergio Ramos said, it's a World Cup. It looks like we are in, he said, what's the word in English? He said, when you, a funeral, I couldn't think of the word. A funeral. And yes, there was too much obsession, obviously logical as well, about what had happened and the ramifications of what had happened. But Sergio Ramos managed to put a smile on everybody's face, and I'm able to order now. Right, I want the Northern Fish Uka.
Okay.
That's a soup, isn't it?
Yes.
Soup. And do you know what Caspian? Well, you of course know what Caspian anadromous mushad is. Do you think I like it? Anyway, I've ordered, and I don't know if you got that bit, but she said if I wanted vodka. Not yet, too early for that. Maybe later. We have to try it, don't we, at some point. Anyway, let me have a look at my notes. So we told you about the doubts and the decisions. I think it's going to be Nacho, Coque and Costa, the three that will start. Let's see. The only worry, of course, is that with so much going on, and so much focus on the game, an important game, Portugal as well, two favourites of the group. If Spain is going to come out too excited, like trying to sort things out too early, because it's our national side is one that starts slowly. In 15 World Cup appearances, 15 international competitions starts. In the first game, we've only won 5, so it takes a while for us to go. But getting even a point against Portugal would be good. But I think this competitive Spain wants to impress from the beginning. Let's see. Remember, we lost against Switzerland on our first appearance in the World Cup in Brazil. In South Africa. So not good. And against Holland as well, 4 years later in Brazil. So people have been asking me, did they really, Rubiales and Ramos, fought each other? And no, they didn't. But there was a lively argument and discussion about what was going on. Basically, the camp was split in two, in the sense that a lot of people, or three even, some people were like, whatever. A lot of people saying, actually, we should kill Lopetegui. And others said, well, he's been asking us to focus on the World Cup, but actually he hasn't. Anyway, Rubiales took the decision for everybody. And as I said in another video, for me it's not the same to lead than to take decisions. To take decisions is easy, but to lead, you have to understand things and be diplomatic, and maybe perhaps in a federation that keeps insisting that process is everything, they perhaps should have just continued with the process. A little bit of a smack in the hand to Lopetegui and move on. It's 2 years in the life of that man and of this group that have been thrown away in a way. But anyway, decision has been made. We all forget about it. What else? Sergio Ramos said something very important that links to a podcast I've just done with Bill Bessick. Find it, it's on iTunes and some other places. You'll see it in my timeline on Twitter. Sports psychologist. We talked about obstacles and bread, lovely different bread. With a sauce. I'll try that. What's the sauce? What's the sauce? Mustard. That's it. Oh, it's like I see. It's not so much of a sauce as it is a butter of a orange colour. Anyway, Bill Bessick, garlicky as well. Bill Bessick, great podcast. Butter, yes. See, butter. So Bill Bessick speaks to me about what is necessary in a World Cup, and talks about he was involved in a World Cup himself as a coach of the national side of British national side of basketball in the Commonwealth Games, and he won the gold medal for them. So it's interesting to hear from him about that. But also he talks about, as I said, the psychology of it, and something that Sergio Ramos said in the press conference yesterday stuck with me, which is that in football, I'll add, in life as well, you learn more when things are difficult than when things go wrong. Absolutely, that's the case, and could be the case with Spain as well. Let me finish this piece of bread. Anyway, an interesting fact about Ronaldo: he's only scored 3 goals in the World Cup, and against Ghana, the last one, Iran, and North Korea, and suggests that he hasn't impressed in Europe in world competition, and it's true. But in these qualifiers, he's actually scored 15 goals, and as I said, he, even though he gets involved still in the build-up, it's mostly around the box where he intervenes, and of course, as he's shown with Portugal in the qualifiers, the fact that Silva plays next to him. Let's see if it's Silva wear this, but if it's Silva, it's like a Benzema type of a striker that moves around and leaves spaces for him, and Ronaldo likes that, so we'll see which Fernando Santos goes for. But against Spain, Ronaldo has not scored either. In 3 official games and 1 friendly, 4 in total, he has not scored. But with Ronaldo, just give him a test, give him a challenge, and he'll. Oh, that's because a little kid has been hidden in there. That it is. Anyway. So, that's what I wanted to tell you. I think this Portugal is stronger than in 2016, and I think we're going to see that in this World Cup. They've got new players in Bernardo Silva or Guedes that can make a difference. I love Bruno Fernandes a lot. Martins as well. Gerson Martins, who apparently he's broken his contract with Sporting Lisbon, and he's free, and it's like, go and get him, because he's really good and could be a superstar in 1-2 years. He won't start, but will take part of it, of course, at some point. With Moutinho, with Carvalho, you've got a guaranteed strong holding midfielders there, even though Moutinho can obviously get into the box, but Carvalho, I don't know why he hasn't gone to a bigger club just yet, but anyway, you'll see all that. Perhaps the fact that they've got aging centre-backs may be a factor later on in the tournament, but and perhaps physically they may struggle, but they don't need to run a lot because they're going to defend quite deep. So the fullbacks are good players too. Guerrero or Cedric, whoever it is that they play, they've got quality throughout the side. And now with Fernando Santos in charge, egos have been put to a side and everybody works together. Strong team. What else? Pepe Costa, that will be interesting. Diego Costa and Pepe. What a battle as well, same as we said earlier with Sergio Ramos and Cristiano Ronaldo. I think we could leave it there, actually, because the soup is about to arrive. I've spoken for long enough, and I hope you enjoy the game. My idea will be to do a live YouTube episode just after the game. Well, I will be in 5 Live, so after that, and take some questions if you want them, and we can chat a little bit longer. Meanwhile, I'll leave you to it. What a wonderful day today in Moscow. More to come in all the the places, social network, Twitter, Instagram as well, and YouTube.